phone calls between both of them.
This is the first time he's giving away any detail of what's actually going on in that room. He says, I don't know, give him loads of acid or something that will make him harmless. This guy is so strange. Going to call an ambulance, I think. Try to wake him up. Literally seems dead. He's setting up an alternative reality to make her believe his version of events.
At around 1:30 p.m, Natalia can be seen entering the annex.
She sees what's happened. She then goes again and buys cleaning material and comes back and helps him.
Did you want to help him?
No, come on.
Have you and Jesse murdered this man?
No, come on.
They were there for 6, maybe 8 hours trying to clean up the place, and the place was an absolute mess. So we're just piling clothes into bin bags and piling them up. They didn't know what to do, just didn't know what to do.
Well, I don't think it's speculation to say that they gave up after a few hours, because that's what they did. They'd left behind black bags containing blood-soaked items and effectively fled the premises.
The couple leave the hotel with bags containing Jesse's possessions. Minutes later, he calls his mother, explaining he has been held captive. Concerned for her son's welfare, she phones the police, who then contact Jesse.
I've heard some things that may or may not have happened.
It's not something I can tell you about right now, because it's something that I need to take time to reflect on.
Jesse, they also said that you'd hurt another man. Is that right?
Yeah, it's all very well to use the word hurt, but that's far from the right word to use.
Well, what's the right word to use?
The right word to use would be defence.
The next morning, the hotel manager calls 999.
One of my tenants who's staying in the back flat, his name is Jesse. He said he had a fight with his somebody.
Where is this room?
Police swoop in.
Police!
And find Naomi's body in the bathroom. Her pink headband is discovered on the floor. Her jacket is left on the bed. And traces of her wig are scattered around the room.
There was widespread blood staining on both the bedroom and the bathroom. Bedroom, there was blood staining on the wall and the head of the bed from Naomi Hersey that Jesse had attempted to wash off.
It is clear someone has tried to clean the crime scene.
Were you helping Jesse after he's killed this man?
No, come on.
Have you assisted Jesse in disposing of any evidence?
No, come on.
We had strong and compelling evidence of her removing items of forensic value from the hotel room, and we had compelling evidence of her DNA on the marigolds that she'd purchased. She could have alerted the police, she could have refused to assist him, but instead she stayed, she helped him.
The suspects have been in custody for 12 hours. They could be released without charge if the detectives cannot compile enough evidence.
We're against the clock. We only can hold him for up to 24 hours without an extension from the superintendent. How can I get the case over the line? Is there enough evidence just on the initial assessment? Does his story hold up? And all these things I'm thinking about multiple times and in my little head, my little jigsaw, and trying to put these little pieces together.
I did not start the violence.
MacDonald claimed from the outset he had acted in self-defence, and in murder cases, self-defence is a defence. So I had to look very carefully at all the evidence to rebut or disprove that defence.
I was offered a drink, and I know that the person in question was into the GHB, and I feel like that drink was spiked.
Jesse's claims that Naomi spiked his drink with a date rape drug are disputed.
We were able to get a toxicologist's report to confirm that no date rape drug had been used.
So you've started to smoke crystal meth. Is that a drug you...
Never tried it in my life.
Never had it before.
Jesse's denial that he had never used crystal meth before is also disputed.
We were able to send hair samples from him, which revealed that, in fact, he'd been using crystal meth himself for up to 4 months prior to the murder.
His argument that he'd never used crystal meth, rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And that was actually damning for him.
But what was most damning was Naomi's post-mortem results, which showed significant injuries. Jesse claims Naomi attacked him after she realised he had tried to drug her.
What happened then, Jesse?
She was saying about facing off, you know? And
what do you mean by facing off?
she said, well, would you face me off? She posed the question.
What does that mean?
I said, you're not taking my things.
Right.
You know, I said in a forceful way, you're not taking my things.
Yeah, you're not having
This is how it's going to go today. The problem is that I didn't expect it to go from 0 to 100. And the violence came from her.
Donald claimed that he had acted in self-defence and that Naomi had attempted to throttle him. I think he described it as she'd got him in a death grip, and that everything he did following that was in self-defence.
It felt so strong. I was up against the wall, and my hand, I could go down the side of the bed because I'm sure that's where the beer bottle I got it from.
We think the initial attack site took place on a bed where he smashed a glass or a glass object on her face.
I smashed a bottle over the head and then went like that, or something like that, up into her neck.
And do you remember cutting her neck with the glass bottle?
I remember the glass going into her neck, and I seeing the piece of glass like this. You see what I mean? She went for me big time. We went tossing and turning over the room. I was losing the control. That's when we headed to the bathroom.
Fights ended up into the bathroom. We know there has been a fight in there because there's blood smeared on the floor, the wall.
Is that where you stabbed her?
That's where ultimately I stabbed her.
Do you know how many times you stabbed her?
I tried to stab her. When I stabbed her, I was surprised at how little effect it had.
Okay.
How she seemed to not do anything to her but make her more angry almost for the first few times.
And that's when Naomi dies, in the bathroom.
I feel like I could have been in so much of a crazed state of, oh my God, why did you do this to me in my room? Why have you created this whole drama for my life? And I feel like I could have easily, in that state, actually harmed her dead carcass.
The fact that he described Naomi as a dead carcass speaks volumes about his attitude towards what happened.
In his head, he's killed somebody, but in his head, he doesn't think he's committed murder.
Jesse maintains he killed Naomi in self-defence, but the pathologist's findings suggest otherwise.
There's a distinct lack of defence wounds on the victim. What it means when someone says there's a lack of defence wounds means that whoever has killed her or whoever has inflicted the wounds on her, right, she hasn't fought back very much.
Yes, she has.
If he was in a fight and there was a knife being used, potentially there will be self-defence wounds on him as well. He had a few cuts and grazes.
I do have bruises on me. Yeah. I was punched, for sure. I was kicked hard. I was...
Sorry, the tape's as well.
The tape is about to...
The lack of defence wounds on Naomi's body is yet more evidence suggesting Jesse may not be telling the truth.
Naomi suffered 19 injuries, including 11 stab wounds, 7 of which were concentrated in the front of the chest, to a depth that's 9 centimetres. That's a significant amount of power in there. There were 29 areas of injury to the head and neck alone.
He had cuts all over his face, like little straight lines down his cheeks, across his forehead. And I remember thinking, like, who has time to be that cruel?
That's a lot of violence. That's not self-defence. No way self-defence. That's an angry man.
We heard that he may have already been on the floor when he was stabbed continuously. that there were marks that on the floor that showed that he was attacked while he was lying there. But the amount of blood in the crime scene, the blood on the walls, on the door, on the floor, everywhere. You can just wonder how much horror happened in that room.
It was a frenzied attack. It was a mindless attack on a helpless person. Naomi didn't stand a chance at all. Didn't stand a chance. Can I just quick take a break?
The fight had moved to life or death. Okay. One of us was going to go.
Jesse's claim he acted in self-defense is undermined. He is formally charged with Naomi's murder.
Has Jesse killed this man?
No comment.
Has he told you
No
that he has?
The police must now determine Natalia's involvement and whether she too will face trial for murder.
I called Natalia for the first time and I told her what had happened.
Did you get Natalia to call 999?
No, I should have. I called Natalia because that's the person I love. And I can't believe I even brought her to the scene. I really can't.
Were you helping Jesse after he's killed this man?
No comment.
Police! Oh no, there is a body.
Jesse McDonald has been charged with the murder of transgender woman Naomi Hersey. Almost 24 hours since arrest, time is running out for police to charge his 17-year-old girlfriend, Natalia Darkowska.
Were you helping Jesse after he's killed this man?
No comment.
With Miss Darkowska, I mean, we had strong and compelling evidence of her removing items of forensic value from the hotel room, and we had compelling evidence of her DNA on the marigolds that she purchased. She could have alerted the police, she could have refused to assist him, but instead she stayed, she helped him, she attempted to remove evidence and then went with him to another place.
When presented with the evidence against her, Natalia continues to reply no comments throughout the interview.
Is there anything else you want to add or clarify about what we've asked you?
No comment.
For attempting to clean up the crime scene with Jesse, Natalia is charged with perverting the course of justice. Both will now face trial at the Old Bailey.
It's always good to have a trial at the Old Bailey because it's this sense of you've done bad, you're in a big house now, you will face justice.
In front of Naomi's friends and family, both the defendants plead not guilty to their charges.
We had to sit and watch Jesse and Natalia in the dock every day. Jesse spent most of the time smirking, and he would canoodle with Natalia. He would play with her hair. He would whisper in her ear. They would be all cuddling up in there.
Jesse maintains he killed Naomi in self-defense.
He was very controlling, very manipulative, very argumentative. If it's not his way, it's nobody's way.
You had to listen to the defense trash my brother, trash his memory. You can't say a word back.
He was trying to paint a picture of him basically being abducted and held captive. We were able to take each and every aspect of his defence apart and show that actually he was lying.
Jesse's story of Naomi being violent towards him doesn't ring true to the people closest to her.
Knowing Hersey, what kind of person he was, he's not a violent person. So I'm a bit puzzled there.
There was something about the way he attacked Hersey that made it feel personal. Which is odd because they only knew each other for 4 days. How personal can it get?
The jury has shown police body cam footage of Jesse's arrest, which could reveal his motive.
I probably got given HIV so many times during those few days anyway. I had a fought with the person who laughed in my face and told me they had given me HIV.
One thing that Jessie did mention was that our victim was HIV, but it was low-grade HIV, so it's not transmittable. There was nothing to support that he was given HIV.
I'm very paranoid about HIV. I grew up with a boy whose mum passed away with HIV, and it's always been a pet fear of mine. So it brings out extreme emotions in me.
After a 6-week trial, it is now down to the jury to consider their verdict.
I was very nervous. The jury, I felt like it could have gone either way. They spent a long time, longer than expected, deciding. The judge had to give them a majority verdict because they couldn't agree. And that, to me, was a bad sign.
Nobody knows for sure how the verdict is going to come out. No matter how devastating the evidence, you can never be quite sure what's going to happen. It's extremely tense, and the jury come in, and it's silent in court.
The forelady got up and she said that he was guilty.
Yes! And it's like, well, no, I'm the gaffer. I'm not supposed to be doing that.
When I heard that G, I did a backflip on the inside.
Jessie McDonald was found guilty of murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 20 years.
He was punching the wall as if it came to some sort of surprise to him that he was found guilty for murdering someone.
Natalia Darkowska was found guilty of perverting the court of justice. She received a suspended sentence and was ordered to do 150 hours of unpaid work.
I thought that maybe she would not stand by him, but she didn't. She stood by him. She's guilty of perverting the course of justice, but she's also allowed to walk free. I don't understand.
I think Natalia is a victim in this to a certain extent because she's been dragged into this. She is naive. It's a harsh lesson to be learning, especially when someone's died, but I don't think she'll do that again.
Despite justice being served, Naomi's loved ones continue to mourn their loss.
We'll never get to see my brother again. We'll never get to speak to him, hug him. That's the part that's really hard to come to terms with.
Every time I walk past from tennis court, I remember Percy swinging his hips about a bit, and I can picture him here playing his tennis. I wish Percy was here right now.
In 2018, there were almost 400 trans and gender diverse murders reported across the world. Naomi's death has brought positive change to the way that victims in the LGBT community are perceived by the media and the justice system.
In the past, we've been criticised for some of the work that we've done and how we've operated and how the language we've used. However, on this occasion, taking aboard all the expert advice that we got from the advisory group, we got it right. They've told us we've got it right, and I'm proud of that.
A year after Naomi's murder, students at the London School of Economics have organised an exhibition in her memory. Through art and photography, they aim to educate visitors about the lives of trans and intersex people of colour. Trans activist Ms. Kimberly visits the gallery to celebrate Naomi's life.
I want to show you some never before seen pictures of Naomi.
Fantastic.
That's one of her friends we took a few years ago.
This is the way I remember her. It's wonderful. It really is wonderful. Do you know, it's quite incredible that it's gotten so much attention from our own community, and we've really helped keep her name alive.
And that's part of the inspiration of this exhibition, is to not only keep her name alive, but to remember her in a way that the general media doesn't.
Yes.